Mr. Richard, you have 6 minutes for questioning the minister. Please go ahead.
Minister, you're now the Minister of Employment, the Minister of Workforce Development, the Minister of Official Languages, the Minister of Veterans Affairs, and the Associate Minister of National Defense. Can you tell us which of these files will be your priority?
Thank you so much, Mr. Richards. And I have to say congratulations, as I hear that you're a new father. So congratulations on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Mr. Richards, for that question. A few weeks ago, the Prime Minister put his trust in me and asked me to take on these additional responsibilities for a short-term period, and I'm pleased to do so. I have to say that I'm hardworking and I'm not scared of hard work, and I will continue to meet all of my commitments as Minister of Veterans Affairs and also assume the additional responsibilities that have been asked of me to do.
Well, I think veterans are just a little bit concerned, right? They have already seen struggles with your department in terms of getting the quality and timeliness of services that they think that they deserve and that they do deserve. And now they see you as a part-time Minister of Veterans Affairs. And there's no other way we can put that. You have several files. You cannot be full-time on any one file. So you're a part-time Minister of Veterans Affairs. So how do you think it makes veterans feel to know that they have a part-time minister?
Well, I certainly disagree with the premise of your question, Mr. Richards. I think that people who know me know that I'm hardworking and I'm not scared of working long hours, and I will continue to do and meet all of my responsibilities and requirements as Minister of Veterans Affairs. To be frank, the day that I was sworn in that same evening, I was at Pepper Pod as I had committed to doing an event there, and all of my events that I have committed to have been fulfilled, and they will be continued to be fulfilled. So for veterans that are listening out there, I am a full-time minister. I'm committed to serving them, and I will be continuing to do so.
Well, are you telling us that you believe the Ministry of Employment, the Ministry of Workforce Development, the Ministry of Official Languages aren't also full-time jobs? I mean, how many full-time jobs can one have? I mean, you simply cannot devote full-time attention to any one of these files unless you're not going to do any of them justice. So, Minister, I struggled to understand how you can say that you're anything other than a part-time minister at this point. I guess what I'd like to ask you is whether the Prime Minister consulted with you on this decision before giving you a second and third role within Cabinet.
Well, I certainly don't know how it works in your party, Mr. Richards, but our Prime Minister consults with his caucus and his cabinet all the time. And when he approached me to take on these responsibilities because he felt that I had the skill sets and was able to do it, and he has the trust in me. Okay. And again, this is a short-time appointment for a period of time, and I have taken on the responsibilities, and all departments are very important. And again, the veterans who know me well, know that I will continue to serve them full-time and will be making sure that all of my engagements are met.
So what you're telling us then is that both yourself and the Prime Minister felt that veterans weren't important enough to warrant more than a part-time minister. Is that what we're hearing here? Don't you think veterans deserve more than a part-time minister?
I think you're putting words in my mouth with Mr. Richards. And for veterans who know me and know me well, know that I'm a hardworking Minister of Veterans Affairs, and I am absolutely committed to making sure that the job is done.
Well, we'll be watching because I think there are a lot of veterans out there who are concerned, and I don't doubt your intentions, and I don't doubt your willingness to work hard. But one cannot have as many files as you have and give them all full-time attention. So I certainly hope that veterans will see that they do get some better attention than they deserve under a part-time minister. Let me turn instead now to this issue that I wanted to raise with you about 82-year-old veteran Jim DeMars. He's the president of the Penticton Legion. He was violently attacked by a number of thugs on his way home from the Legion one night. And he expressed, because of the lack of proper criminal justice system under your government, the lack of proper punishment for criminals, that he was even reluctant to report the crime because he felt like the offenders would just get off scot-free. So I want to ask you, knowing that, the veterans that you were there to represent, one of them was violently attacked as a result of the weak criminal justice policies of your government. Would you now, after knowing that, finally support the common sense proposal of Pierre Poilievre to ensure jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders?
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, Mr. Richards, I have a point of order, so I stop the time. Yes, Mr. May.
We've asked the minister to appear today on estimates. I've yet to hear a single question from the member opposite that's even remotely relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yes,
So
thank
on that
you,
point,
Mr.
Chair, if I can
Go
just
ahead,
add to that
Mr.
point.
Richard.
I mean, first of all, the questions around the minister's part-time nature in her role are relevant to all of the expenses, of course, within the department. So I believe these questions are relevant, and I frankly think it's really unfortunate that a Liberal member would try to step in to try to cover for the minister. Let her answer the question.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. So, but the second part, you are talking about justice and things like that. But as you know, that we are discussing about the budget supplement bill. So try to focus on that, please. Thank you.
Well, Minister, the question is relevant to veterans, and it's relevant to the department because this is a veteran who the department is supposed to represent who was violently attacked. So I'm asking the minister a relevant question here, whether she will support the common sense proposal of Pierre Poilievre to ensure jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders so we can protect veterans and all Canadians.
Excuse me, Mr. Richards. So, like I said at the beginning, I know that the minister is there and people accompany her too, but talking about policy of party, I don't think it's relevant to the budget that we are discussing.
Let's let the minister answer if she'd like, unless she'd like to evade the question as well.
Mr. Chair.
Minister,
so,
would you care to answer?
Mr. Richards, would you try, please, to present your question in another way? You have 1 minute left, and leave the time also for the minister to answer, please.
As I've said, it is the department's responsibility to ensure that veterans are taken care of, to ensure that we are there to provide services, but also ensure that we're there to take care of any of the issues that veterans have in terms of services that they need and support. And this is an area where the government is failing our veterans and all Canadians. So I believe that the minister should step up and answer the question. Will she support the proposal to ensure jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders so that people like the 82-year-old veteran Jim DeMars can be protected within this country from violent offenders?
Yeah. Mr. Richards, I'm so sorry. I think that we are still on the same page. So if you don't have any other questions, I think we'll go to another.
Chair, I think you should ask the minister to respond to the question. This is a relevant question. Veterans will be incredibly disappointed if the minister refuses to answer this question. So, Minister, I ask you to please answer the question so that veterans can hear where you stand.
Yeah, Mr. Richards, like I said, we are discussing budget, and you are talking about policy.
Okay, well, this is a minister who professes to be more than a part-time minister. I think she's proven that all she is is a part-time minister. She won't even respond to a relevant question about the safety and security of our veterans.
Okay, Mr. Richards, okay, so you're still on the same page, and I'm not going to give the floor to the minister to answer that question. So I start with Mrs. Cathy Rogenthal for 5 minutes, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here, and Mr. Harris and Mr. Freeman as well. So the voted appropriations in the supplementary estimates B 2024-25 are for $942.5 million. It indicates that the vast amount of that, $819.4 million, is for pain and suffering compensation. So I'm looking at this, and that's a 51.6% increase compared to what was in the main estimates. And in the explanation documents in regard to this, it says it's because of an increased number of applications, but also a higher than expected number of veterans opting for a lump sum. And then goes on to say that by default, when they apply for their pain and suffering compensation, by default, it goes into monthly installments, and that they have to submit a written request to request it in a lump sum. The goal was that they thought this would incentivize our veterans to go with a monthly installment because you have the potential to live out longer than the time with the lump sum. So it's surprising to me that this is the route that this is going. And I have a question right away around having to submit a written request for the lump sum when they're applying for the compensation. Are they aware that it's default? Is there not a way to say you can make a choice here, monthly or in a lump sum? Is that not part of the application?
I'll answer part of your question and then I'll turn
As
it over.
briefly as possible,
Absolutely. So with
please.
respect to the numbers that you've shown, we are seeing year after year a 10% increase in application for benefits. This year alone, we are on track for 94,000 applications that are coming through the department. With respect to the lump sum, the information there, perhaps Stephen, you can just explain kind of what is given to the
Sum?
About 60 to 65% are going to the lump sum.
Okay, application. So are they able to say immediately they would prefer the lump sum versus the monthly?
They're not. In the legislation, it's described initially as a monthly, and then they have the opportunity to select a lump sum payout. One of the recommendations that we've had from numerous committees and others is to be able to speed up that process for veterans, and that's what's resulted in having the form go out with the decision letter as well, allowing decisions to be happening quickly.
Okay, so they can't process that when they actually are applying for the lump sum. They have to wait to get it awarded and then they get to make that
Correct.
decision. So have you followed up, and how have you followed up to find out why there's this preference for the lump sum? That seems contrary to what the expectations were.
I think the design of the program was meant to encourage people, as you noted, to take the monthly amount. People can make their own decisions with respect to how they wish to receive their disability compensation, and many are doing that. In some cases, it could be small amounts that their disability pension awarded amount, or sorry, their disability pain and suffering compensation is not a very small amount, maybe
Well,
$25,000.
here's
And
the
so
thing.
over a long period of time,
Sorry.
it may not be
Sorry,
worth it.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you. So VAC's data, according to the Office of the Ombudsman, from December of 2022 indicated that 65% of veterans eligible for pain and suffering compensation were choosing a lump sum. So that was back in 2022. Are you aware of the percentages now for 23, 24, and 24, 25, and just a yes, no?
That's what I have for the figure right now is still between 60 and 65%.
So comparable to
Consistent.
what it's been, and so the amount. Okay. So how have you followed up with those who chose the lump sum to do any kind of research to find out why they're making that choice?
I think there's been many conversations that have happened through veteran engagements, forums, and others.
Writing that shows why this change is taking place? I wonder if it isn't because they feel safer having their money in their hands to improve their own life quality. Are they moving into small businesses and needing those? Like, what is the rationale for doing that? We don't know.
I don't, not in every individual situation may be different. And to your point, somebody may wish to have that money immediately and they are going to put it to use for something specific to them.
I think it would be good to find out why, because that's a significant percentage. Appropriation of $2 million for Veterans Family and Wellbeing Fund with a focus on equity deserving groups. Give me just a very brief description of what that means. For what purpose with equity deserving groups?
So with respect to underrepresented groups that we've seen, oftentimes they haven't had access to perhaps the services that they needed. And again, monies were put aside to ensure that community groups could apply for funding in order to ensure that those needs of those veterans were met.
Thank you. So of $2.75 million for government advertising programs, obviously if you have the money, you know what you're going to be advertising. So how are you targeting women veterans and those transitioning to civilian life? What are the actual advertising programs that are going to take place?
Very good question, Ms. Wagenthal. So those most of that, those programs are during Veterans Month, if you will, to make sure that we, promote Veterans Month and also to promote veterans. But also it's to ensure that veterans are aware of the services and support that are available to them. And our ad campaigns that we have certainly will depict what a veteran looks like. And it can be, a male, a female. It can be, we really want to make sure that it's very
reflective. You have them
reflective.
laid out already so as to come to that number of
Last
$2.7
question.
million?
Can you, I didn't hear your question.
Well, to come up with an amount, you have to decide what it is you're going to spend it on in advance. So all of that has been laid out as far as what that money will go towards. It's more, so it's more funding. So
Again, we want to One priority that I've heard from veterans time and time again and members from the committee is that they want to ensure that veterans are aware that they are entitled to services and benefits. And a big part of the ad campaign that we're doing is really encouraging them, if they are a veteran, and making sure, number one, that they self-identify as a veteran.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you very
Sure,
much. So
so-
now I'd like to invite Mr. Dordell for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here today, and thank you as well for your team. I'm just going to go back just for a quick second here because I found it quite interesting to my colleagues' questions a little bit earlier. You're definitely a busy minister, as we know that Minister of Veterans Affairs, and now you're going to be Minister of Employment and Minister of Workforce Development as well. And I'm sure it's an honor to be asked. It certainly, I would think, from anyone's perspective, it's probably a nod that you're doing a good job. My question is more to the lines that with over 150 members of your party, why you wouldn't look for somebody else that was there. I know you were asked, but just for each department and the amount of time, I know myself as a member of parliament, the amount, how busy I am in my riding, not being a minister and taking care of all the individuals that we have. Out of 150 other members in your party, was there any suggestions on your behalf that perhaps maybe someone else could have an opportunity? Or the other side of it is there not a minister that perhaps isn't putting their name forward again, that would have that experience in a ministerial department that could probably dedicate more time, whether it's, because I think, quite honestly, Minister, I think that it doesn't matter what ministry this is, you can't really dedicate the same amount of time that you did before. So my question, I guess, basically is, like, maybe you can keep up on this file then, but are we doing justice on the other file, and why wouldn't you as a leader? I know it's a great nod for you to get the accolades and be chosen, and like I say, great track record then obviously for your party. But did you ever put forward that I really want to concentrate on what I have here, and someone else would probably do a better job if they could really dedicate 100% of their time?
I'm going to respond to that question this way. I think my track record speaks for itself. I'm a hardworking MP, I'm a dedicated MP, and I'm a dedicated minister. As I've indicated, I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of long hours. This is a short-term commitment that the Prime Minister has asked me to assume because there's probably going to be some appointments made in the very near future.
So I'm not trying to pick on what you do in your role, because like I said, it's a compliment to be asked. There's no doubt about it. It would be a certain honor, and it speaks well, I guess, to your work ethic. But I'm just being, is there not anybody else out of 150 individuals that probably could have dedicated more time to either one of the files? And then secondly, you said there's going to be an announcement. How long do you think that will be that these two departments will not have a dedicated minister?
Well, I think, first of all, I don't agree with the premise of your question that I am dedicated to these three responsibilities at this time. I was the former official languages minister. I know the file very well. I know this file very well, and I am certainly getting briefed up on ESDC.
Once again, Minister, I'm not asking about your qualifications or what you do. I'm going to just say for the departments themselves. I understand, obviously, like you said, it's fantastic, but I think for those departments, out of the amount of people and individuals that are part of the party, even if you didn't suggest it, you would think that the government may suggest it, the fact that there's other ministers that have been there before that could dedicate 100% of the time. That is my point. It's no slight to you as the minister doing your role here. It's just an overview of running an operation. The same if it was a hockey team, you wouldn't do that. You would be busy running your hockey team. And that's sort of my question or comment. It's not you or your ability. It's just as an overall government, do you not think that it would be a better opportunity for not only for the individuals, but for that are in the government, but also do you not think it's a better opportunity for each department to have one individual to talk to and to call?
Again, my response to you is that I'm a very hard worker. I'm not scared of long hours, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And I'm thrilled to be able to continue being the Minister of Veterans Affairs. It is a portfolio that is near and dear to my heart. Also, official languages, and I'm briefing up on the other portfolio at this point in time. This is a temporary measure, and again, look forward to continuing working with the committee members here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dodell.